I don't think you understand the technology that goes into a smartphone design like this one, but almost with relative ease, Huawei's been able to pull it off in its Mate X-T Ultimate design. While there's no news of international availability as of yet, I did get a chance to use the device for a couple of days and I thought I'd tell you about my experience. Folded, this is just like a regular smartphone except quite a bit thicker as you can see, but it's still not extremely uncomfortable and I'd say you can use it pretty well even one-handed. The magic is in the dual fold, and whether flat or sitting upright, this thing is a marvel to look at. So how many times are you likely to unfold this thing? Well, I'd say many, but not all the way. You see, opening this thing up once gives you that classic foldable experience that I'd say 80% of foldable users would be very happy with. That and also the fact that the opening of the third enclosure is quite a chore just because that third portion is very tight. I do see the novelty for the full experience though, like when you're watching a movie, maybe doing some work or scrolling through websites in portrait orientation, and applications do support this large display as well, right in the software. But for movies, let's say, the audio quality on the Mate X-T Ultimate design, at least in my opinion, isn't too great. So you'll need to be using headphones with the device, and with a display so big, you'd also need a dock, maybe a keyboard, and a few more accessories to be fully productive, which adds to the cost of an already expensive smartphone. You also have to be careful with how you fold this thing because it's easy to fold inward from the left, and you're not supposed to do that unless you want to break this thing. The phone does give you warnings when you're folding it wrong though, so it's not that bad. But the bigger question, which I think is more relevant, if you're even slightly thinking of getting this thing, is software. You've got to be ready to tinker around, and by no means is this thing going to be the full experience that you'd get on any other smartphone despite paying a heavy premium for it, and that's because there's no official Google service support, so you'll need to rely on third-party tools to get the applications you want here or use Huawei's app gallery. To be fair, the latter does have a decent selection, but if you want Google-specific applications, things like Google Keep, Maps, Payments, etc., you need something called Gbox. There's tutorials on how you can get this stuff working on Huawei smartphones. In fact, one has been made in specific for this one in the last couple of days, so do check that out using the card above or in the description via the link. But keep in mind, these applications might not have the latest security certificates, so if you're someone concerned about privacy, things might be iffy, and some applications, especially payment-related ones, just might not work. Here, for example, I couldn't get ChatGPT to work on this device, and it's unfortunate, but you can't do anything about it. I've heard Harmony OS Next is around the corner, and I'm sure you're going to be getting the update on the Mate X-T Ultimate Edition, but I'm not sure what that's going to do for this current Gbox setup because Huawei's new software will not support any APKs as far as I've read and heard, but hopefully things will get clearer in the next couple of months. The other thing I want to bring to notice is durability. Essentially, this is one big screen, and while cool from a form factor perspective, it might not be great for use in the long run. As we know, the smartphone is extremely thin, and I feel like the foldable technology on this, and any other smartphone in fact, is not yet mature enough for you to be spending this much money. Even if you drop this thing by mistake, literally your main screen is gone, and to fix it will cost a considerable amount. To be fair, Huawei does throw in a pretty well thought out case for protection, but that adds to the bulk and isn't really the best to use in my opinion because of that flap on the edge, and because I just don't like using cases on smartphones. Now, there is also a huge camera on here, and unfortunately, I couldn't test it out in depth, but one thing I did notice is some software misoptimization. For some reason, if you ever use this thing in full tablet mode to take pictures, the UI doesn't change or respond to the orientation. It's a minor thing, but it's one that I've noticed, so why not bring it up? Likewise, battery on standby, this thing is solid, but I feel it will drain a bit quicker if you use the full screen a lot more. Huawei does give you a fast 66-watt charger in the box, so no problems here, but I can't really comment much more on battery than this. So, what is the Huawei Mate X-T Ultimate Edition? I think it treads over to being more of a concept smartphone than a real utility. I'm sure there's people out there who'll argue that this thing satisfies the utility of both a smartphone and a tablet together, but given its build and also the fact that it's coming from Huawei where software isn't a sure answer, it's a smartphone only for those who've got the money and also want to own a piece of revolution in smartphone technology. Although I feel many might replicate this design, this design might not take over the industry entirely unless it's pitched as more of a computer or maybe a work device that can pretty much do everything all at once and also dock at your desk for even more power. For now though, all I can do is commend Huawei for stepping it up in the innovation game like always. Thanks for watching, let me know what you guys think down below and don't forget to like and subscribe. This was Vaibhav and I'll see you in the next one. Adios!